let's see how to create a fragment in couple of ways. So I'll use the default. And for now I'll say add an empty activity. The name of the activity, we need a layout for the activity. This layout will be different from the layout of the fragment. So as you can see, we have activity layout. For now I prefer to use linear layout. Let's run and see what happens. So we have not yet added any fragment to it. Alright, so the activity shows the hello world text view that we have. Now let's see how to create a fragment. So in the Java class, we'll create a new fragment and a blank fragment. So we'll call it my first fragment. Now, as I said, every fragment has to have a separate layout XML such that you can define whatever UI has to go into the fragment. Alright, we don't want any extra methods for now. So the layout of the fragment will be called as fragment first. The Java class is called first fragment. So as you can see, main activity is a Java class. First fragment is also a Java class which extends from fragment. Now our job is to put fragment view inside the main activities view. So this is how you can do it. Now as you can see, even the layout is different. So the main layout for the activity is this one, which is defined in the main activity. Here. Whereas the fragment's layout by default is here in the fragment first, and this is what the XML has. Now fragment's XML has one text view by default. It's called hello blank fragment. And for fragment, we use the onCreateView method. Now, we have not yet told Android that I want to use this fragment. So what we can do is, there is one way of adding a fragment is, we can directly specify the fragment class inside the activities layout using fragment. We'll tell it, okay, match parent. Alright, close the fragment. Now, two important things. One is ID for the fragment, so you can give it any fragment ID first. And we have to tell this which class of fragment it has to use, which Java class. So that's why I would specify and luckily here Android Studio already gives us the suggestion for first fragment. So what I have done here is, in the layouts XML file, I have specified that I want to use this fragment, the first fragment whose Java class is here. First fragment is using layout of its own, which is in fragment first, which is here. Now let's see what happens. Run. So as you can see, now in the activity, you have a fragment. So activity gets launched. Activity has a layout called as activity main, which is this one. Activity main has a linear layout, which has one widget called as fragment. Fragment is the class first fragment. First fragment on create view specifies that you want to use this particular layout. So now you can modify anything, do anything in the fragments layout. So let's say you could now add a button and give it a text, click me, and let's use a linear layout. Now Ctrl Shift F11 and see what happens. Now for linear layout you have to specify whether you want to specify the orientation, vertical orientation, so that both text view and the button will be in a vertical fashion. Where is the button going? One problem, because the text view has been specified to match the parent. So let's say we would just match the match parent for the width itself, but the height will be wrap content. Otherwise what happens here is, as you can see in the design, alright, there you go. You have a fragment which has a text view and a button. Now you will be wondering what you can do with the activities layout. Now here you can still go ahead and do a lot of other things in the activities layout, but most of the time you prefer adding your views into the fragments XML. So here, just out of curiosity, you could just make it wrap content and add, let's say, edit text, wrap, okay, a default hint. Let's run it. So now again you'll have to specify the orientation. So there you go. So what effectively we have done is, in the whole layout of the activity, we have fragment which has its own layout, and then we have another edit text which is part of the activities layout.